justice and peace, and equality.
Game Changers Magazine, Game Changers Media Network, Voices of the Village podcast, where change starts with conversation. And today we have here Macon, Bibb County Commissioner Stanley Stewart. How you doing today?
I'm doing good, Mr. Miller. I appreciate you having me here. I'm just glad to be back again.
Awesome, man. Thank you for coming on our show, man. Also, the former mayor of Macon, the Honorable C. Jack Ellis. How you doing today, sir?
I'm great. Thank you so much, Mr. Miller, for having me. Good to be in your great studio in your great city.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And also we have former mayor, Mr. Robert Reichert.
Well, we say Rickard.
Rickard.
We say Rickard.
Rickard. That's the country way of saying it. So we're going to stick with Rickard.
That's right.
Deep down in Bibb County, Macon. I-75 Corridor Coalition, new transportation coming through the great state of Georgia. You guys have a vision for it. You guys have been boots on the ground for the past several years, implementing your plan. Former Mayor Reichert, tell us where we are today with this awesome plan of bringing the corridor from Atlanta to Macon.
We are at we are over the target. Maybe we ought to just say we are over the target because three things are coming together.
Right.
Federal funding.
Okay.
The Jobs Act, Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act passed by Congress.
Right.
Contained a significant amount of money for inner city passenger rail.
Okay.
The CID program is the second part. The CID program is Corridor Identification and Development. That's done by the Federal Railroad Administration.
Okay.
It was a competitive grant process, and we're pleased and thrilled that the Atlanta to Savannah corridor was selected to be in this program.
Okay.
And finally, the third biggest part is that Senator John Ossoff was able to get federally designated spending to help provide for an environmental impact study on this Atlanta-Savannah passenger rail, and to get us jump started in that process. So all these three things are coming together to make this the opportune time to take advantage and see how the Atlanta to Macon corridor can become part of this national network of inner city passenger rail.
Awesome. And former Mayor C. Jack Ellis, you're a part of the railway rail passenger organization?
Well, what it was, during my time as mayor, I was part of the Southeastern Amtrak's advisory. The mayor, we had an advisory committee that we advised from the U.S. Conference of Mayors. And we advised Amtrak on the implementation of the Southeastern Corridor. Macon was designated as one of the sites on the Southeastern Corridor, which meant that in order to get it designated, we had to have a facility, a terminus, if you will, a multimodal facility. So we were able to purchase a building, not just any building, but we happened to have had in Macon a very, very significant train station. We call it, just commonly referred to as the terminus station, which is very similar to the Union Station in Washington, D.C. Atlanta had torn theirs down some years ago when, back in the 70s or whatever, but fortunate we kept ours. We were able to purchase it from Georgia Power, get it designated as a multimodal facility that whenever Amtrak would come, that would be the destination. That would be the stop on the Southeastern Corridor from Atlanta to Jessup, Georgia, to Miami, really, but stopping in Macon. And we were able to get like almost a $9 million. At that time, they were called earmarks. We were able to get an $8 million, almost a $9 million earmark to purchase the train station and to redevelop it and get it designated. It was already designated, but get it up to speed as a multimodal facility.
Awesome. And as former Mayor Reichert stated, they don't want the pork, but they want you to bring home the bacon. Now, Commissioner Stewart,
yes,
you've partnered with these gentlemen in their vision to modernize transportation in the rural progressive Southeast Georgia area, South Georgia area, excuse me. and bringing economic development to the heart of
Yes.
Georgia,
Right.
right?
Yes.
Tell us your role and tell us a little bit about you and what some of the things that you're doing
Well-
with this initiative that we're pushing.
Well, Mr. Mallard, first of all, I appreciate you and Game Changers for really shining a light on this issue.
Thank you, sir.
And it's my honor to be here with these two gentlemen. I've known both of them since I was basically a boy. you
Wow.
know, eighth
Look
grade.
out now, look out now.
And I tip my hat to them for the things they've done over the years. But
Okay.
but to be on board for this, especially for Central Georgia,
Right.
Macon as a catalyst, is second to none. It's going to create economic development.
Okay.
It's an environmental issue. You know, you're going to have less congestion on the highways.
Okay.
So we want to make sure that we do everything necessary to get the citizens behind this.
Right.
And I always say everything is driven by citizens. You know, there's no greater stature in a democracy than that of a citizen.
Than that of a
Than
citizen.
that of a citizen. So we got to make sure citizens stay involved. And I think between that and getting the federal people on board, we'll make sure it's a reality.
All right. Now, former Mayor Reichert, you stated before we got started, we're 2 steps into this thing, set to take off in 2026.
Yes, sir.
All right, with a completion rate at 2028. Am I correct?
Yes, well, it wouldn't be complete because you still got some construction beyond that.
Okay.
But to get the governance in place and the plan in place between now and 2026, the route selection is going to be the first fundamental step. Which route are you going to take? Are you going to take the Atlanta, Macon, Savannah? Or are you going to take a straight line through the middle of the state that is a high-speed rail? Or are you going to try to go through Athens or Augusta?
Right.
We
right.
think that the Atlanta, Macon, Savannah route makes all of the sense in the world because it takes advantage of Macon's location in the center of the state.
Exactly.
Okay.
I'm a big picture guy too.
Right.
Mr. Mallard. So let me just tell you this much, and I think this will be of special interest to Game Changers.
Okay.
Over the last 50 years, the growth in the metropolitan Atlanta area,
Okay.
for all intents and purposes, has been north of I-20.
Yes.
For the last 50 years,
Yes.
it's been north of I-20. And now the metro Atlanta area is bumping up against Rome. It's bumping up against Dalton.
Okay.
It's bumping up against Gainesville.
Okay.
You got some of the longest commute times in the nation with people trying to drive into Atlanta and back home at night.
Okay. Okay.
Atlanta Metro is projected to continue to grow, but over the next 50 years, we think the growth is going to be predominantly south of I-20.
You're exactly right.
Because you've grown out so far north of I-20,
Right.
it makes only sense that you go down 85 and down 75 toward Columbus and toward Macon.
Right. Right.
So you got 2 things that you could do. Go to sleep at the switch and let it happen. And then you're going to get whatever happens.
Wow.
Which is typically sprawl
Okay.
with all of the problems of congestion, cost, etc., air pollution, air quality congestion, or you can get ahead of the game and try to implement smart growth practices.
Correct.
Transportation systems, comprehensive transportation systems, help promote smart growth. And that's
Yes,
what we all want, smart growth. So those of us who are south of Atlanta don't want to see sprawl and the same problems that Atlanta has created for itself on the north side.
Yes.
We want to be smart and try to be proactive and have smart growth on the south side.
Well, that problem is already being created on the south side because as we're right here in Henry County right now, the population has almost doubled or tripled within the last 5 years.
And it's steadily progressing south. If you drive down I-75, you can see it.
I'll share something with you.
Okay.
In 1990, I worked for the Census Bureau.
Yes, sir.
And Henry County was one of my counties that I coordinated with the county commissioners and the other mayors in this county
Yes, sir.
to do the 1990 census. There were 50,000 people in Henry County
Wow.
at the beginning of the 1990 census, and I bet it's probably $750,000, at least a half million
Yeah,
people.
we're
now.
at about 300 to 350,000 people
Yeah,
in here.
that just shows you from 1990 to where we are
Yes,
in the last
yes,
40 years.
Yes, I believe last year
35 years.
Last year we were like at 256,000, but we're pushing well above 300,000 with people moving from Atlanta down to Henry County, which puts Macon as the next hub.
Hello, hello world.
Now, former Mayor Reichert. Former Mayor Reichert. We were talking about the economic development of this corridor.
Yes.
A lot of people are looking at a lot of people are looking at some of the cons of this thing, and we were promised that we would have better infrastructure, better transportation. However, we saw more 18-wheelers coming up and down 75. They have a speedway. How does this transportation platform improve economic development, infrastructure, and quality of life for the citizens of Georgia?
I couldn't have said it better. You just almost gave the answer. Just teed it up from it. Mr. Mallett, let's take it in sequence and say, number one, this is a critical component of a comprehensive transportation system. Everybody doesn't need to be on I-75.
Correct.
Everybody ought not to be on I-75. There are some people who don't have cars. There are some people that ought not be driving on I-75. They're causing problems and safety for the rest of us.
Yes, sir.
So let's build a comprehensive transportation system so that transportation is available in one form or another for everybody.
Okay.
Everybody. That's number one. Number two, it is a lot more environmentally friendly. Air quality is impacted adversely by the traffic on I-75. In fact, studies show this pattern of congestion,
Okay.
right? And it's typically right over the interstate highway system. And you say, why is that? Well, all these trucks coming with all this diesel exhaust.
Yes.
Well, you're creating the environment that's polluted.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So if you have a transportation system that moves more money in a fuel efficient manner and isn't contributing to the problem, then you're better off. And the congestion on Atlanta, so you got air quality congestion, but you've also got traffic congestion,
Yes.
that you can eliminate. So the final thing is, it's great for industry because any improvements that you make to the existing rail infrastructure also promotes safer transportation of freight.
Okay.
Less derailments with tank cars full of heaven only knows what, toxic chemicals, et cetera, that you don't want spilled in your backyard.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So you're helping to move freight safer.
Okay.
As you provide greater speeds for it, you close some grade crossings or separate the grades so that you have less collisions between trains, trucks, and cars.
Right.
So you're building a safer transit system that's better for everybody. So for all of these reasons, intercity passenger rail seems to fit the mold of building a better system, a more environmentally friendly system, and one that promotes economic development. And in that last regard,
Okay.
Atlanta, if it gets on board with this, stands the chance to be the hub in the southeast for intercity passenger rail, with connections to Washington, to Nashville, Tennessee, to Meridian, Mississippi, and Dallas,
Okay.
to New Orleans, to Jacksonville and Orlando and Miami,
Okay.
to Charlotte and New York, Washington and New York. Atlanta could be the hub, and I promise you, over the next 50 years, if Atlanta becomes the hub for Southeast passenger rail,
Right.
it can have as great an economic impact as Hartsfield Jackson has had over the last 50 years.
Wow.
That's why we can't miss out on it as far as Macon's concerned. You know?
Okay. And Commissioner Stewart, piggybacking off former Mayor Reichert, the improvement, what we saw that Hartsfield Jackson actually brought to the city of Atlanta. We see how Atlanta industrialized itself. We now have a international attraction to Atlanta.
Sure.
How does that improve in building this system? How does that improve an international audience to the entire state of Georgia?
Well, as Mayor Reichert said, and more people coming into Hartsfield-Jackson, that's a gateway to the world, if you will.
Right, correct.
And so therefore, when they come into Hartsfield-Jackson, if they're able to jump on a train and come on down to Macon, on down to Savannah, that brings the world to Macon, Georgia. I also look at it from a reverse angle. If you look at it from a Savannah perspective, looking back up the state,
Okay.
the port of Savannah has been deepened. And so therefore, you got more cargo coming into the port of Savannah now.
Yes.
And as that more cargo comes in, that's going to be more congestion on I-16 coming up to Macon.
Okay.
So if you got a train running up from Atlanta, Macon, Savannah, Macon to Atlanta, it's going to ease that congestion. So that's one way of looking at it also.
Former Mayor Ellis, when you were in office, you it created the hub in Macon. Now, what pushback did you get? Because it seems like this plan has been in action for a long time, and the people of Macon, the county of Bibb, have been longing for transportation that serves as an international corridor. What were some of the obstacles you had to overcome to get us to where we are today to get this project moving forward?
Well, as Mayor Reichert stated, I'm old enough to have been a passenger on the Nancy Hank as well.
Yes.
So I understood the importance of transportation, especially mass transportation between Macon and Atlanta, because it would help our growth. It would help us to grow. A lot of people don't want to get in a car and drive an hour and a half, but getting on a train, people could very well work in Atlanta and live in Macon. So it wasn't just for our current population, but it was for potential growth as well.
Right.
But
right.
yet giving our citizens an opportunity to access the airport, access Atlanta without always having to get in an automobile, and as it is today, get stuck in traffic.
Get stuck in traffic,
But
yes.
piggybacking on what Mayor Reichert said earlier about Atlanta has to realize, and I'm sure they do, a lot of young leaders have to realize that Atlanta was in fact the terminus. Hence
Yes.
the name. Before it was Atlanta, the name was Terminus. It had that name because all the railroads fed into Atlanta, so they need to reclaim that mantle again.
So we need to definitely reclaim that mantle.
Yeah.
Former Mayor Reichert, we were again. You came into office right after Mayor Ellis, and you continue to push this initiative in your own platform as well.
True.
Where are we at based on where we were when you were in office to where we are now? The progress that we're making, some of the obstacles that you face, in getting this initiative to where it is today.
I would say that I was able to use the money that Mayor Ellis got
Okay.
to refurbish and renovate the terminal station.
Okay.
So that if you haven't been there recently, it is absolutely beautiful.
Wow.
It serves as the home of the Macon Transit Authority, and it's
Okay.
the central transfer station for the Transit Authority, so that you can take buses all over Bibb County from that multimodal center. It
Wow.
has space reserved in it for intercity passenger rail, sitting there waiting for the rail to come and connect. It's got Greyhound bus service that stops out front now.
Oh, wow.
Because they closed their terminal and instead use this terminal station. Because people can get right off of the local bus and get on a bus and go to wherever the Greyhound goes, or vice versa. Come home to Macon and get on the transit and go all throughout Bibb County. So I was able to complete the renovations of the terminal station.
Okay.
And then I was able to be part of the I-75 Central Corridor Coalition
Okay.
and help put this group together to talk about smart growth and complete transportation systems so that we don't run into the same problems like North Atlanta did
Okay.
and grow by sprawl. We don't want to grow by sprawl. We want to have smart growth and
Right.
implementing smart growth. So that's really working through the I-75 Central Corridor Coalition to promote smart growth and a comprehensive transportation system.
All right, man.
You ask about the difficulties. The difficulty was getting people to see the vision. You know,
Okay.
we knew that passenger rail was in the future. We knew that our local transit system didn't have a place at a proper exchange station downtown where
right.
people. So we had to get people to understand that this is not just it's about local people, but it's also about a bigger picture. So whenever people sometimes don't see the big picture, they sometimes think you're wasting money.
Yes,
But
yes.
had we not bought that terminal station, had we not gotten the money from Washington, D.C., had we not gotten it designated as a multimodal facility, as it is, where you could have inner-city buses and intra-city buses, as the mayor said, inter-city, and the Greyhound and all that, we would not be eligible now to be talking about some of the stuff that we're talking about, because they would say, "Where's your train station?
Yes,
Where's
yes.
where's the facility? We want them to come here. Where are they going to stop when they get here?"
Yeah.
Well, at least
It's already been put in place.
And one other thing I'd like to point out, Mayor Reichert mentioned about the difficulty with freight rail.
Okay.
We had a demonstration run from Washington D.C. to Savannah,
Yes.
Amtrak,
Yes.
in 2006. The U.S. Conference of Mayors were having a meeting in Savannah. So I was, as the chair of the Amtrak Advisory Committee, I went to Amtrak and the CEO and said, "Let's bring everybody to Savannah by rail."
Okay.
And we did, from D.C. to stayed overnight in Macon and on to Savannah. But what happened, it took us 3 hours
Wow.
to get from Atlanta to Macon, because we had to park on the side while the freight trains were coming by. So even though it was a good experience, we had a lot of food, a lot of booze, a lot of drinks and on the train. But you're right, in order for this to work,
Okay.
we've got to have your designated and dedicated rail line. And we know that some people in the community and throughout the state have not been very high on rail, as, say, Governor Roy Barnes was when he was governor. Then we had some people to follow him that thought it was just a waste of money. So I'm glad to see that Mayor Reichert at the helm now in this organization is now, pardon the pun, back on track and moving, not just on the track, but moving down the track.
We're seeing him all
Yeah.
over TV, man. I've been watching him on the news, and former Mayor Reichert is a blazing trailblazer in this initiative and pushing it forward. Now, Commissioner Stanley,
Yes, sir.
Stanley Stewart, you play the role as carrying the torch, because you're currently in office in the county of Bibb, and we spoke with Mrs. Aisha Ellen of Keep Making Bibb Beautiful.
Yes.
And a part of transportation is the beautification system
course.
of the city.
Yeah.
How does that play and role with the vision Mayor Reichert and Mayor Ellis has created to where we are present day in the city of Macon?
I think the biggest caveat right now, what I've done, and I appreciate Mayor Reichert coming to me and asking me if I would try to draft a resolution, which we did. We got it drafted, we proposed it, and it passed last night
Awesome.
with the commission and with the administration. That's the biggest aspect, because you got to have buy-in from the city,
Okay.
and so therefore that's been done. I take my hat off to these two gentlemen to my right, because as my mother used to always tell me, everything is connected. And when you plant seeds, which they've been doing for years and for generations on
Okay.
Macon Bibb, which I benefit from and which we all continue to benefit from, but you plant those seeds because in the future things are going to grow.
Right. Correct.
And as Mayor Ellis just pointed out, if there were not a terminal station, which came about under his administration,
Correct.
we wouldn't be having this conversation right now.
Correct.
You know, so you think those individuals and you connect the dots.
Yes.
And it's my hope, you asked about me where I am currently, it's my hope and my overwhelming care to continue the legacy that these two men have been carrying on for generations.
Man, awesome, man. We're going to have to go to a commercial break with some of our sponsors, but we have former Mayor Reichert, former Mayor Ellis, and the current commissioner of Bibb County, Mr. Stanley Stewart, here on Game Changers Magazine, Game Changers Media Network, where change starts with conversation. You guys stay tuned. We got more to come. Right here.
Justice and peace and equality. Now the world they will see. That's why.